Welcome back to New Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creative thinkers and doers. It is I, the mayor, for little boys, high upside the mayor's office, hang with people who are doing the dang thing and doing the thing for good. You know, I'm always a big fan about being able to really share your story and give back. And well, my guest today has done that in spades. Please welcome, among other things, the author of the book, The Man I Would Become, Victor. Bring to the show. Victor, you do a lot, man. How do you describe yourself to someone else?
I appreciate it. I would tell you perseverance has got to be one because you got to keep going. So I'd
Yeah.
say I'm a little bit of man of perseverance, a man of faith, and a 50-year contractor. So
Well, look, you don't have to paint the obvious here, but you and I look very, very different. But you and I also have that parallel about coming up from a situation that things can assail you, things that come after you, things can be a challenge. Making sure you overcome those obstacles was something you really were strong about. What's been your approach when life throws lemons at you? How do you make lemonade?
yeah, I think the first thing is, I am grounded in faith. I do believe that, God didn't put anything on you that you can't handle, but I believe that you have to have the perseverance to continue on, right? I'm from Texas, so it's cowboy up. You get
Yeah.
bucked off a horse, you dust your pants off, you get back on the horse, and that's what you got to do in life. You can't let anything beat you. And I'm not telling you it's a straight path. It might be zigzag, you might go left, you might go right, but you have to have the grit and perseverance to continue.
Yeah. And what happens if someone does give up? Do you go like, man, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah, hey, you got to. I've always believed you got to lend somebody a hand.
for
Everybody's
sure.
going to get down, and if you can give them a hand that just gives them that little bit of courage and that determination to continue on, then you've done what you're supposed to do.
For sure. And tell me how you're living that today. I mean, you were saying before you went live that you're on that ranch now, making it happen. What's it like day to day for you?
So day to day, I retired. Quick story: the ranch is supposed to be my wife's and mine retirement. My wife's a 35-year educator, so we were looking at that time for retirement, and we bought the place, started building the home, and we always went to outdoor shows because I'm an outdoorsman, right? My wife and I are both hunters. So went to an outdoor show, and my daughter came up. Man, she was just tickle pink. She had a couple of flyers in her hand. She said, "You gotta go talk to these folks." So I went over there. So I met Gordon Melton, which is a 20-year founder of Hunting with Soldiers, and then I met Casey Allen, the state director of Cross Trail Outfitters, a Christian youth group. And those changed my life. It changed my world.
Mhm.
That became more of now we're giving. So the ranch brings in income to be able to give back. Like we've given 64 donated hunts in the past 3 years to them, terminally ill kids, a lot of things like that. So that's really the thing. For us, it is now about you're not put on this earth to take, you're put on this earth to give. So that's what we're trying to do.
And if for someone like myself who's been a lifelong indoorsman, if I wanted to go outside and cross that line to being someone on the land, I mean, is it an entry point where I can like get myself more acclimated to doing such a thing?
Well, sure. I mean, you don't start off saying, I'm gonna be the president of the United States tomorrow, and you hadn't had a political office, right? So, I think you
Well,
have to
only happened
start
once.
somewhere. Well, that's
Yeah.
true. We won't go there. We're not into politics. No, I'm
Right.
kidding. I'm kidding. No, yes, absolutely. It starts with just being able to. Number one, I'm gonna put a plug. Hunters are the best conservationists in the world. We don't scream and yell about give me donations and don't do anything about it, right? I'm fixing to go to Africa on the 16th.
Oh wow.
If it was not for us spending money in the African continent and the outfitter taking that money and doing his own anti-poaching, the,
Mhm.
the nation doesn't do it. The state doesn't do it. Nothing does anti-poaching. It is the hunters that provide the money to the outfitter. The outfitter does the anti. So that's just a quick story again about why, to me, hunting is about conservation. So we would love to be able for you to come have a conversation and
Yeah.
look at what we do. I've got two animals that are extinct in their native land, and they would not be alive if it wasn't for what we do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Again, I always wondered how I would fare outside hunting. I've fished a couple of times, but I've never actually had the bow and arrow or a crossbow or a weapon to actually get out there. So I don't know. I think it's a kind of a thing that tends to be something that more people can try. I just want to wish that was a way to get in there, you know?
It's easy, but living in LA is a little different than living in Texas on being
Oh,
able to
oh
do
yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not going rat hunting on Venice Boulevard. That is.
Sorry, I had to throw that in. Okay,
No,
I'm sorry.
totally fair. Totally fair. I'll travel. I'll make the effort.
Okay, all
But
right.
getting back before that, I mean, your entire life, you found ways to take what you have and to build on that, and quite literally. I mean, you came from the world of construction. Is that true?
Yeah. So the quick story on that one is, my dad wasn't present, right? He wasn't. My mom and dad divorced at 10. Dad passed away at 16, but little brother and little sister, 8, 10 years younger. So, I'm the man of the house, lack of a better word. So anyways, fast forward in time, construction. So, I had a scholarship, lost it basically when I hurt my neck. So I'm sitting on the couch, during summertime. The school didn't want me because I had like a 1.6. They said, "I'll see you later. I don't really want you to
Mm.
come back." Right. So anyways, mom comes by. She's got my suitcase. Oh, okay. Well, then she comes by and says, "Can I have your keys?" Okay. So then she said, "Can I meet you outside?" "Oh, sure, mom." Go outside. She hands me the keys, hands me $20 and send me, tell me where you land. So I ended up at a nuclear power plant. I was there for 6 days. I was down to basically bread, water, and cheese. And the hiring manager came out and said, "Son, you can't stay here." And I said, "Sir, I'm sorry." I said, "But I'm out of gas." I said, "I'm down to water, cheese, and bread. And the only way you can get rid of me is hire me." So he hired me. Therefore, that started my construction career.
Wait, you, I mean, appreciate the grit, man. But if I'm on bread, water, and cheese, I'm getting the heck out of there. But you dug deep. You just said, "I'm not leaving until I get that job."
I'm not going to leave. Wasn't going to
Yeah,
leave. Where am I going to go?
fair.
No place to go. So, buddy, I'm here. I'm showing you my determination. So you just give me a shot, right? Just give me a shot.
Well, let me ask you this, because I know it could have been easy day one, right? And I know perseverance is something you're all a big fan of, but construction is a whole different beast altogether. I mean, there's the whole camaraderie aspect, the hierarchy on the site, the compliance stuff. Like, what happens when things of that career are thrown at you and you have to make do?
You still, so in construction, you have to do something. Standing still is time and money spent wasted. So you have to make a decision. So the thing I try to teach my group is make an educated decision, right? Do your research, ask Fred. Fred might be an expert, but then make a decision. So I'm not going to tell you that we make all the right decisions all the time, but we will make a decision. And here's the thing I will tell you. I don't make the same mistake twice. That's how you stay in the business. You don't make the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that we don't do it right the first time, but I'm saying we're going to make a decision. We're going to give it our best effort. And if it doesn't work, we're going to tweak it and we're going to go do it again.
Yeah. How does one build resilience? Is that a thing that's like practice, or is it kind of like a innate kind of nature?
Mine was built because of my mom. The faith. She had me in a church faith-based school since I was in kindergarten through sixth grade. I watched her work 60, 70, 80 hours a week to provide for us. She taught me that determination, and you don't give up, and you have to fight through it. You just can't quit, right? Life's not here for you to quit. So one, that's how I was taught. I think tenacity, right? You have to have a little something. You can't just go, "Oh, woe is me," right? You have to be able to say, "I need help." And that's okay. That's kind of some of the things that I've been focusing on too, is everybody talks about, the PTSD and the 22 a day of combat veterans that basically pass. I didn't realize that there's 50 in construction that die of suicide every day.
Mhm.
So some of this stuff you have got to kind of pick yourself up, teach yourself, but I also understand people need a hand too, and you have to be willing to give them that hand.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Because I think there's so many cultures and subcultures. You said cowboy up, the man up stuff. Like, I'm from Brooklyn. It's always like, "Hey man, the streets won't be nice to you." But that balance of saying, "I'm determined to not give up," but I also know that the task in front of me is nearly impossible to do alone. That's something a lot of guys struggle with. Understanding when to like call in the hot tag to a friend or someone to confide in to overcome some of the stronger challenges.
Well, so my journey was kind of exactly what you said, so I was taught to be tough, you don't cry, right? So being raised in sports and all that same thing, I remember I was 5 years old, right? And my mom put me in Pee Wee football. I was supposed to be 6. And I remember, vividly coming back, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if I was crying or whatever, but I remember she grabbed me by the face mask, pulled it to her face, and she said, "Get your butt back in there." Patted me on
Yeah.
the butt and turned me around. So I was raised pretty tough, right? You cut my arms off, cut my neck off, wasn't going to cry, wasn't going to happen, right? So now fast forward, right? In my career, as a superintendent, that's a pretty good characteristic, right? As an executive or as a leader, pretty bad. So I got sent to school, lack of a better word, for a week. And you heard these 360 battery things, like the good things, right? Y'all take the hill with him. He's going to march. He's never going to let us down. Then you get to hear little Hitler. God gave you 2 ears, one mouth. Shut up. I mean, all the things you're kind of going. So this is kind of the choice you have to make in life. I've always said yes and no is good or bad, depends on the situation. I
Right.
either had to accept what I heard and realize I had to have some change in my life, or they're liars. And
Yeah.
everybody has to confront that at some point in time to know, is this really true or not? And you have to accept that deal. Whatever it is, 10 or 12 step program, what's the first thing you have to do? You have to admit, right?
Right.
You've got to look in the mirror and go, there's an issue. And then you have to be strong enough, knowing that you're going to go back to your comfort zone, and you're going to go back and forth, and to be strong enough to still continue with that conviction, knowing that you're going to get better.
A lot of people that I've come across who have spoken to the youth or the next generation said there's a bit of a disconnect about the roles of guys in society and men in society before now, attributes that we should have before now. In your perspective, when you are working with the youth, you are working with other individuals, what's really been the balance of some of those classical, traditional roles that we have done as men, and kind of the more understanding, like you can't go through a door shoulder first. You can't be that bull in the china shop.
I can only contribute my balance being to my wife now. And I've went through some failed marriages because I couldn't give my heart. I just couldn't. It's not that I didn't want to. I felt like I loved him, but I just couldn't give it. Excuse me. And my wife is what's changed me. I now understand I can be a man. I can protect my family, right? I can be this guy that is present in the room, but I can also cry. I can also admit vulnerability, and I can also love my family to no end, right? I mean, now I look at a movie or something, and it hits my heart, and I want to cry like a friggin' baby, you know?
I hear you, man.
But it doesn't take away from me as a man. So, I understand sometimes when somebody talks about, that, you need to have empathy and emotion, but I've also been through both of them and understand, especially in construction, right? The more I am vulnerable, the more that I let my guard down, the more the stress hurts me. If I'm a manly man and I don't think about any of that, God gave me the ability to handle all the stress in the world.
Yeah.
So I do understand the balance, and it's tough, right? It's tough to say what's right and what's wrong. But I can tell you, my wife is really quick. If I walk in the door from work, she'll look at me, she'll see the attitude, and she'll say, "Turn around right now. I'm not your employee."
Right.
So, okay, let me go put my other hat on here real quick.
I know what you mean. Happy wife, happy life is real, man. I get it.
So I do believe that men, we can be balanced in today, but just going to the feminine side don't work either. I think you do have to have some balance.
Yeah. And sometimes it could be challenging, just to go make sure to read the room, if you will.
Yes, sir.
You have never shied away by saying that you are a man of faith and you walk that path. But I want to ask just the nuance of this relationship between you and the Lord above. I assume Jesus, right? I assume. Yep. But has it been something that's evolved over time? Was it one of those things where you had to like go out in your own passion and then come back? Was it something from day one you were lockstep in being a righteous Christian? What was really your relationship going forward?
Well, luckily I was grounded in it, with my mom. But yeah, like anything else, you veer left. Well, left didn't work, so let's try right.
Yeah.
And faith was, I didn't go on a podcast with a gentleman that wanted me to pick. I need that specific point in time where you changed. It's like the needle on the haystack. There is no specific time in life. There might have been a specific time that I was at the bottom, but things drove me there, right? I remember, when you're in construction, if you're going to climb, it's the next big job. That's not next door, right? We built the Texan Stadium. I built nuclear power plants, right?
Oh, wow.
You go where the job is, right? Well, there's loneliness sitting in a hotel and you're not by your family, and then you're going through divorce. And so you get to that point in time, and that started leading me. But I'll be honest, my wife is the one that pulled me back into my faith, in the understanding that the mission we have today, God put us on that path. It wasn't me, Victor. It's not you that's making all these decisions. So I had to, at some point in time, have the understanding, Victor, you're not in charge. You're a pathway, but you're not in charge. So again, I give a lot of credit to my wife for who I am today.
That's amazing. It totally is. But let's talk about the book, The Man That I Would Have Become. So many experiences packed into a single volume. Talking about the idea of saying, look, this is a life I lived. I turned out semi-okay. Let me put these stories into a way that can be shared with others.
Yeah, so it originally was for my grandkids and their grandkids. When my mom passed, it's kind of like, where'd the legacy go? Like, who's Uncle Charlie? Well, maybe she told me when I was 4 years old, but I don't remember who Uncle Charlie was. So I wanted my kids, grandkids, and all the rest of them down there to understand what I went through, the path I took, the faith that I had to get there, and the perseverance and grit it took. So I wanted them to really understand that, and I've had a couple of national authors that had best-selling books kind of write me and said, this is a lot more than maybe what you think it is.
Mhm.
She said, this is not a success story. This is how you went through things. This is a lessons learned that you can help somebody else. And I think I kind of mentioned then about, men's health and all that. So it's transitioned me a little bit in understanding that I've got a mission as well, to maybe I can help somebody other than just what we do on the ranch.
And it's interesting too, because a lot of times, maybe not for you, I don't want to put your words in your mouth, but when those I've had on the show that had these kind of stories, these kind of memoirs, there's always that hesitation being like, well, who was going to care or whatever. But the fact that you're what, eighth generation Texan,
Eighth generation,
and you won state and built something from where you stay. I mean, that's amazing, man. I hope that people actually get that when they pick up a copy of the book.
Well, I appreciate it. And like you said, the whole goal is for them hopefully to get something out of the book, just a little something, maybe a little encouragement, a little something that I can, right? The little train, little red wagon, little train, whatever it is, I can. And you can. If you look at, again, my career, I literally started out on the nuclear power plant as a water boy, delivering water to 10,000 people. Okay. You can do whatever you want to in your life. You just have to, number one, I believe, have some faith. And number two, have that determination, that drive, and do your homework, right? Don't go out there and say, I'm going to be a president of the United States tomorrow. Well, okay, you better find your journey. You better find your intermediate goals and to get to your final goal, right?
Yeah. Even though I am the mayor of New Amsterdam. So
I know. Should I say Your Highness or something? I'm not sure how to address you.
I know. There are no elections. A mayor forever. So what has some of the feedback been, though? Those who had a copy of the book and had a chance to go through it, what have been telling you when they actually completed?
A lot of it was just like you said, this is not a story about success. This is a story about perseverance. It's a story about how you get through. And the book's riddled through a bunch of my ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs. And, I've been lucky to do a lot of things most people won't. My wife and I have been to 6 different continents. We've harvested 141 different species of animals. There's a lot of things. I had a wrecked Corvette that actually transformed it into going to the national finals in the ISCA that only 10 go out of, 5, 6, 7,000 cars. I've had a lot of those type of experiences, but again, 1, I researched how to get there. 2, I spent the time and my effort to get into it. And 3, I didn't give up.
There's a question we usually ask towards the end of these shows where you say, hey, what's on your travel bucket list? But you've been to 6 continents. I mean, goodness, like what's left? What's left? That's amazing, man. It really is. When you think about the way that we can improve our lives, I know this kind of a pie in the sky thing. If we think about the ideal version of ourselves, we usually have a certain house or a certain look or a certain body type. But like, what's something we could do today to put us on that path to be more resilient, to look at what we're grateful for, to show gratitude, and to be better versions of ourselves?
I think you started out with be grateful, right? Well, and don't get me wrong, I'm on this roller coaster ride that's going downhill really fast at 67 years old, right? So I know the end of my career and end of my life is around the corner. It's not like it was where I'm looking forward at, 15, 20, 30 years old, right? So 1 is gratitude. I think you need to wake up every morning and thank whoever you want. Thank your wife, thank God, thank whoever, and be appreciative. So the one thing that I gathered, I was listening to some 80 and 90-year-old actors, and they asked the question, what makes you get up every morning? What makes you tick? It's 2 simple answers. You need to have a purpose and you need to have something to love. So if you can find those purposes in life, it will help you keep going, right? It'll help you get this drive and determination, because at the end of the day, I would love to tell you what I do is all for me, and that's not it. That's not really it. Nobody would know that I had 141 different species if I wasn't on this show trying to help promote the book, trying to help you get you to the ranch so I can keep giving back, right? I never had a Facebook account 5 years ago.
Right.
So sometimes you have to put yourself out. And I'll be honest with you, I still today cringe whenever I have these conversations with you and feel like I'm patting myself on the back. It makes me cringe. It really does.
Why so? I'm curious. Why does it make you cringe?
I'm just not that kind of a person. You know,
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
not. I don't want to feel like I'm bragging on what I got. I'm a real simple kind of person. I lead from the front. I will show you what I do because I do it. The second thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give you an olive branch first. Just don't give it back to me without all the flowers and the petals, because it's probably gonna be a fight.
Right.
So I'm geared a little different. I'm geared that I will earn your trust first. You're not going to give it to me because I'm going to earn it. So all of those things kind of lead you to not being one that likes to pat themselves on the back and brag.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess, yeah, you don't want to like walk in the room and be like, I am more humble than thou. I get that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a bad sign, a bad look. But at the same time, like it's documented how much you're doing and continue to do for others. I mean, donating such, I mean, these hunts are not flimsy. They are really real research, I assume, and you have to travel, make sure everything coordinates well. Like it's a whole process, right?
It is. I mean, anything I do is calculated, right? I always tell everybody it's risk versus reward, then start looking at dollars. But at the end of the day, there has to be an ROI someplace. Now it's your ROI, but you got to look at risk versus reward. So yeah, I think everything has to be planned. I don't do anything in my life that's not planned. Now, the one thing I have done as I've gotten older, I don't schedule everything in my day, because like we used to go on vacations and I'd have it down like about every 5 minutes. Oh, they'd be so mad at me.
Right. This is one guy in the group, right?
Yeah, that would be me. So it's kind of like, what are we doing now? I don't know. Ask my wife.
Right. You got 3 more minutes of lunch, and then you got to move on to the next thing.
That's it. Hurry up, meet.
Do you consider yourself self-made then? Why or why not?
I do. I do, just because of where I came from, not for who I am, but where I came from. Right. When you come from being a true water boy, right, to being executive of a company and owning your own company at some point in time, to me that's an accomplishment. You know, you worked yourself through the ranks, and I pride myself on that, because what I do today, nobody can BS me about anything I do. I've been there. I beat my thumb up, till it bled. I've sweat through my pants twice. Nobody can show me anything that I haven't personally done myself, and I take a lot of pride on that.
Yeah. Is it harder to have that kind of mentality today, or as the kids say, are they built different, quote unquote?
They're not built different, they're raised different.
Mhm.
And I'll give you a quick little example. Again, my wife's a 35-year educator. She was over in a large school district that had 4,000 students. She resigned, quit, retired because of what was happening, because the parents didn't make the kids take care of their business. Now you go to little old Olney, Texas here, where paddling is still allowed, where they put their phones up when they walk in. And all of a sudden you look at the text on her phones, they call her Miss Brett. Miss Brett, how do I look today? Oh, we miss you. Oh, we love you. And I'm telling you, it's the parents that make the difference with their kids. And so I agree. They are different nowadays. I think they're different because they weren't raised like I did. It was real simple, right?
Mhm.
It came from the football field with a paddle, to my principal with a paddle, to my parents with a paddle. I completely understood consequences. There was no doubt in my mind what consequences meant. And I think people today are not raised with consequences and values and things that we were raised, 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that before about how almost like overnight, but that generally we have shifted to different ways of raising children and interacting with friends, and screen time wasn't a thing. Screen
Right.
time used to be the arcade when I was a kid.
Oh, absolutely.
Now you can pick out your arcade out of your pocket. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's a whole different thing.
Agree.
If someone decides to give you a call, or even check out the book, or even learn more about the ranch, like what do you want them to extract that make them understand what you're about and what the mission is?
Well, if you go to the website, it's pretty comprehensive. Basically, what's there. So if you'd go to breadingtexanranch.com, there's everything about the book. There's about the speaking that I do. There's about the media that we've done. So all that's kind of all inclusive, and my goal is to get you there. And even if it's not coming to hunt with me, look at the programs and things that we support. And if you just go directly support them, then I've done my mission, right? That's kind of the thing, because they're, combat veterans. It's going to get me on a soapbox, but I really don't understand how somebody cannot support somebody that has paid an ultimate price for us to live in the country we do today and burn our flag.
Mhm.
I don't understand, so I'm going to support them to everything that I can. And if I can help them in any single way, then that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I totally understand that. For those of you who listen to the show, I haven't served, but as an honorary commander, a civilian, I worked alongside the United States Air Force. So I have like my little little plaque there. I got to work with them over at Travis Air Force Base. I get it. It's a call that I have not personally done, but I know the stakes are just like off the charts. Before we wind this down, we asked the most difficult question on the show, and I know it's super, super hard. So if you don't have an answer, I totally get it. It totally has freaked out some guests. And that is, what is, when you have a day off or so, your favorite junk food?
Favorite junk food? Anything sweet.
Let's go.
I would rather have dessert. In fact, I'll give you one. My wife gets so mad at me. We'll go to some banquet or something, right? And the dessert's in front of us, and I go grab a dessert. And she's getting slapping my hand. So I don't care. I'm going to eat my dessert first. I know I got room for my dessert.
Right. We always do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
100%. But you know what? This conversation has been a lot of fun, man. I appreciate the time you took out your schedule to chat. One more time, if someone wants to contact you or learn more about the book, the ranch, and all that, how they go about contacting you.
So again, you can get on the website at breddingtexanranch.com. You can Google my name, Victor Bredding. Our DBA is B-Tex Ranch. So any of those ways you can get a hold of us. You can go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, same thing. Research Victor Bredding or the man that I would become. And we certainly appreciate you giving us that option to put a plug in there, sir.
Okay, no problem. So what are we hunting? Are we getting quail? Are we getting venison? Like, what's going on? What are we doing?
Hey, whatever you want. We can get some meat. Just tell me what kind of steak you want. My favorite's bison, and we do have bison. So there you go.
Well, okay. I guess you want to get the beach body, right? The lean meat. Fine.
there you go. I'm trying to help you out. I really am.
This is the episode of the podcast for creatives, man. Thank you so much for doing the show today.
Thank you. Appreciate it, sir.
Stay on the line. Oh, man.